Well, good morning and welcome to another week of professional development. So this is going to be a super easy, light week. The only thing that we are covering this week is going to be cover letters. So cover letters are these can be kind of a little bit tricky because sometimes people ask, should I always write a cover letter? Should I not write a cover letter? I've always been of the school of when in doubt, always send a cover letter. Now, that is said with the caveat of only send a cover letter if your cover letter tells a story. Don't ever send a cover letter if it is just a generic cover letter that you're sending out to every single company, the same exact thing that you're sending to every single one. It is generic. They can spot that a mile away, and it is going to hurt you rather than help you. The same thing with being using ChatGPT or some other type of AI to draft your cover letter. You can absolutely use those resources as a way to brainstorm, as to kind of get your thought process going. And by the way, little sidebar, they're doing some construction right outside of my office. So if you're hearing some bizarre noises, I apologize. Can't quite get away from it. So hopefully it's not too distracting. It's very distracting for me. So I'm going to try to power through because I'm just like squirrel. But anyway, so with your cover letter, if you write it specifically, which is what I always encourage you to do, your your resume is, for lack of a better way of saying it, it's dry toast, no jam. It is just the facts. It is your skill set. It is your past experience. It is your education. It's you on paper. It's your facts. But your cover letter is the first peek they're getting into your personality. It is a sense of like they're using it as a barometer to look at your personality, it's your writing skills. So it's absolutely paramount that you have no spelling or grammar errors, that it is tailored specifically to the job and the company that you are applying to. So you absolutely cannot just have this basic generic cover letter that you're just changing the name of the company and that you're just sending it out. They're going to be able to tell that right away. So think about, why you're applying to this company. Think about what it is that's drawing you to this specific company. So if you're going to be an accountant or a financial advisor or, a teacher or, a broadcaster, you can do that anywhere. So why specifically this company? This is where your research is going to come into play. Really dig deep into the company. Look at their website. What is their mission and vision? What is their growth? What is their what do they stand for? Do they sell products? What are they? Do they have competitors? Who are they? Why do you want to go for this company versus that company? Do they contribute to society? Are they part of some type of charitable organization? Does it speak to your heart? Is there something that they do that makes them stand out? Maybe they do cancer research and you're a cancer survivor, or your brother or grandfather is, or something. Make sure that whatever it is true and genuine. You don't want to ever fabricate anything because that's always going to come out and then you're going to look, it's going to really say something about your personality if you lie. The truth always comes out. So be careful that you're never fabricating any of your details or, trying to pull at someone's heartstrings and it's not true because that can definitely come out. But if there's something that really speaks near and dear to your heart, or you have some type of, just personal investment, maybe your parents worked there, or or maybe just the way that they got started really speaks to you. You like a good underdog story. This company started with just two friends in a third floor, apartment at a card table, and it grew into this multi-billion dollar industry. And you love that value of hard work, that they went through the strives together. Maybe it started during COVID, or, it started with the idea of, two high school friends and they grew it. Who knows? So, but that's gonna talk about your connection and the reason why. And then you're going to go into tying your skill set into the skill set that they're looking for. So I posted a video that somebody else did that kind of really goes step by step. And it's in the assignment of the cover letter piece that you're going to upload to Canvas. You can watch that. I highly recommend that you do because you really kind of go step by step. And I'm also going to attach kind of another document that you can use that really goes deep into cover letters and how you can dissect them and write a really good, strong cover letter. But what I would say, like the first opening paragraph is going to be your kind of like your grab, your hook, your why are you applying to this particular this job, this company, that's your, that's your personal connection, that's your tie, that's your why. You're going to identify that, the position that you are applying to. You don't have to introduce yourself because you're going to have your header that comes from your resume. You want to copy and paste the header that you use in your resume to your cover letter so they look identical. It's very professional and it's best practices so that when you're sending your resume and your cover letter, they look identical. And then you're going to identify the company and then you're going to say, and also always have a date. And this is all in that video that you're gonna watch, and it's also in the template that I'm gonna attach to the assignment into the announcement, excuse me. And then you're gonna say like, dear hiring manager, or dear if you know the person's exact name, that's best, but stay away from to whom it may concern. Stay away from dear sir or madam. That's all just outdated and just kind of makes you look a little unpolished. But you can say dear hiring manager. That's perfectly great. That just kind of covers everybody. Dear hiring, Nike team, if you're applying to Nike. Dear Florida Southern, hiring committee, if you're applying to Florida Southern. But dear hiring manager is just fine if you don't know the person's name. Sometimes, if you know it's just like Megan Morrow, you might want to say, dear Miss or Mrs., but you don't know if I'm married or if I'm divorced or never been married, or you don't know if I use different pronouns. So sometimes you want to be careful about misgendering somebody. So I would just say, dear Megan Morrow or dear hiring manager. Perfectly fine. You don't have to identify yourselves again. It's in the header. You're not going to say stuff like, I hope this finds you well. You don't need any kind of pleasantries like that because this is a cover letter. This isn't an email. This isn't just a nice letter that you're sending to someone. You're going to jump right into it. Dear hiring manager, I was super excited to see the business analyst position at ABC company come available, or even something like, make, hold on. So maybe say you're applying, say for Disney, and you could start off saying like, ever since I was a little girl driving down I-4, I would see those big ears pop out over the horizon, and I always knew that I wanted to work for the mouse. It could be something like that. Again, this is a peek into your personality. So you can use humor, it can be kind of witty. Just be careful because remember, you can't discern tone over text. So humor, you have to be very careful that it couldn't be misconstrued or that it's off-putting or it's any way, offensive in any way, shape, form, or fashion. So just be careful with that. But then the next two or three paragraphs, as long as they're short and punchy, your cover letter should be the sweet spot is like 3/4 of a page. So it's, half a page to a page, never more than a page. Nobody's going to read it. They're going to really kind of skim it more than anything. But you're going to go back to that job description. Look at the skills that they are saying that the prime candidate is going to have. You want to showcase the skills that they are looking for in a candidate. And this is why it is so important that you know that job description. Because if you start talking about you have these really awesome critical thinking skills, you're really good at problem solving, critical thinking. But nowhere in that job description does it talk about needing critical thinking, problem solving skills, but yet you're really good at it, but it has no place in that particular job. It's going to look like you're so out of place. Again, it's going to give that hiring manager that thought of like, wow, this has nothing to do with me or the job, and this person is just willy-nilly applying to anything. And even if that's not what you're trying to do, that's the message that it's going to convey. So if you're very specific about the skills that are coming straight from the job, then it's going to paint that picture to, excuse me, to that hiring manager. And it's going to make them see you in the role that you are applying for. And that's exactly what you want them to do. You want them to visualize you in the job that you're applying for, making yourself the obvious choice. The whole interview process is about you making yourself the obvious choice. So as they're reading this cover letter and you're talking about maybe having innovative leadership skills, and you're adaptable and you have great communication skills, and those are the top skills that they're looking for, and it's listed in the job description. And now they're reading this cover letter and they're looking at your resume and they're visualizing you and the job that they need to have done. Wow, you are the answer to their prayers. You are the solution to their problem. Then they're seeing you in that light and they're going to be like, oh my gosh, I got to bring this person in right away to interview for this position. You have now you position yourself to be the obvious choice. And then you go into the interview and you're just going to totally kill it. So that's kind of what you want to do. And then you're going to wrap it up with a nice, powerful closing paragraph that's going to have this call to action. And here's like a pro tip. You want to just kind of act as if, all right? You're going to have this like, I know I already have the job. Remember, there's a fine line between confident and cocky. So, but you're just like, hey, I look forward to the next steps in the interview process. I look forward to hearing from you. I look forward to speaking with you at my interview, however you feel comfortable. I usually end it with, I look forward to the next steps in the interview process. And then you're going to say something like, thank you, sincerely, best regards, however you want to end it, then your full name. So the one thing that I see people that will kind of struggle with is they'll say, I hope I hear from you, or if you like what you read, please reach out to me, something like that. So you have this really strong cover letter, but then you end it on this kind of wishy-washy note where they're like, I'm not really sure. I know what I'm talking about. So you don't want to end it like that. You want to end really strong, really confident. I'm solid. I'm confident in myself. I'm the best candidate. I'm the obvious choice. I have the skill set. So we just need to get to the next step so I can talk to you in person. So however that feels good for you is how you're going to end that cover letter. And then you'll send your cover letter with your resume. Now, if the job posting says just send your resume, then just send your resume. If it says send your resume and cover letter, make sure you do send a cover letter. If it says upload your documents and then there's multiple file options, then I would always err on the side of caution and send a cover letter. If they don't want to read it, they just won't. But I would rather send a cover letter and go that extra mile than not send a cover letter and then have one of my somebody that's in my competition pool, have them do the extra work and send a cover letter. And then they go, ooh, this person actually put forth more effort. And then they get the interview and I don't. So a little bit more effort isn't going to hurt you. Yeah, it's going to take a little bit more time, but then the more effort you put into something, the more likely you are to reap those benefits. That's just my best professional advice, and that's what I would do, and that's what I plan to do whenever I'm interviewing for different positions. So that's kind of a cover letter. Always make sure that you proofread. You have got to proofread, proofread, proofread. If there's a spelling or grammar error anywhere in your cover letter, it's just going to get tossed. And no matter how good your skill set is, no matter how great of a candidate you are, if you can't proofread, then they're just going to toss it. They're going to say that you're either lazy or it's going to make you come across as unprofessional or uneducated, which you are not. But something as silly as an error in your spelling or grammar, it's just going to come across as super unprofessional. If that's not really your strong subject, write it, walk away, come back and look at it with fresh eyes, ask somebody else to proofread it, put it in Word. They already have built-in spelling and grammar checks. Maybe have Grammarly on your computer, anything like that. But ask somebody else to proofread it if necessary, if that's something that you kind of struggle with. But also to read it out loud. When we write stuff and then we just kind of read it in our brain, your brain is going to read what you meant to write. And so a lot of times it will skip over any type of grammar errors because your brain is a beautiful, wonderful, complex machine, and it will just kind of fill in the holes where it thinks it's supposed to say. And so if you read it out loud, and read it word for word, then you'll pick up on the mistakes that are there if there are any. So just a little kind of brain hack. I had to learn that pretty in depth too, because I like to read. I read silently a lot, and I like, brain just fills in those holes. So there's your cover letter kind of in a nutshell. Like I said, when I post this video in the announcement, I'll also post the handout that you can look over that also kind of breaks it down a little bit too. And then there's like a template on the back that will help you if you want to use that. You can also watch any other videos on YouTube about writing cover letters, but the more specific you can be, the better. And then if you go back and look at the assignment that we did, the telling your story, if you put effort into that and really kind of dove deep into your past experiences, then use that. You can save that because those stories you can use over and over and over again because those stories don't necessarily have to change. If you used problem solving as the captain of the lacrosse team, you can use that story for problem solving in 10 cover letters if you want. If you're applying for jobs that say problem solving is a top skill, you can reuse that same story over and over and over. It doesn't matter because the idea is that you're still painting that picture of, hey, I can use problem solving and here's when I did it before. In a previous time, you want to be specific. That's like the real trick here. You don't want to just say, yes, I have great problem solving skills. As the captain of the lacrosse team, I had to use problem solving all the time. Okay, great. Anybody can say that. When specifically, paint a picture for me. Tell me specifically, when did you use problem solving skills as the captain of the lacrosse team? Tell me a story. And so when you can get kind of specific, it really paints that picture. Then the hiring manager's going to be reading that, being like, oh, they really do have problem solving skills. This makes a lot of sense. Try to show it, especially if you can show it from a previous work experience. And it's especially super duper powerful if you can tell a story of a previous time that you used problem solving in the same type of situation that you would be using it in this new job that you're applying for. Now, if you can't, that's no problem. You're still starting out, you're fresh, you're young, you're new to all this. So you might not have a whole lot of previous work experience to draw upon. So you're going to draw upon any other type of previous experience. But the more closely you can tie it to the job that you're going to be doing, the clearer that picture is and the more obvious choice that you become to that new hiring manager. Okay. So your cover letter and discussion question 3 are your only 2 assignments for this week. And so with that said too, let me just reiterate the submission policy. So every week you have assignments and I give you an entire week. Now they're all open right now. They've been open from the beginning of this term, which was the beginning of May. So then they have a due date, which is the end of each week, depending on what week we're covering. This week is cover letters. So as from now until Sunday at 11:59, you have until you can turn in your cover letter. That does not mean that you wait until Sunday at 11:59 to turn in your cover letter. That means from now, or actually from the beginning of, May 8th, whenever the semester started, May 7th or 8th, you have until now, until 11:59 this Sunday to turn in your cover letter for full points. From 12 o'clock, it's late. And then you're only eligible for 50% of those points. From 12 o'clock to 11:59 next Sunday, you can turn in your cover letter for 50% points. Come 12 o'clock the following Monday, it's closed. It's done. I do not take it. So if you have any questions about the policy, please refer back to the syllabus, or you are welcome to email me and I can explain it to you individually. But just because it says that the due date is 11:59 does not mean that you have to wait until 11:59. That 11:59 deadline is the absolute last opportunity to turn it in. So I would not wait until Sunday evening to turn in your assignments because anything can and will happen as far, you might be traveling, your Wi-Fi might go down, your computer crashes, you don't feel well. your electricity bumps, anything can and will happen. So if you choose to wait, you run that risk. You're taking that gamble. And I know some people thrive on pressure, and that's fine if you want to do that. But I don't give extensions, and I don't give, leeway because you had other things pop up or you didn't have Wi-Fi since you have an entire week to do it. So please make sure, because time management is a professional skill that you have to cultivate and you have to be responsible for. And the reason why I'm very strict about this is because this is professional development class. In your work world, when your boss gives you a deadline, you have to meet that deadline, especially when you're given plenty of time. Now, sometimes your boss is going to come with you with a project and it's going to hit you and be like, hey, I need this in a 24-hour turnaround. And that's going to be crazy, especially if it's a big project. That happens all the time. Hopefully not as frequently as hopefully it happens less than it does more, is what I'm trying to say. But it's going to happen. But for the most part, you're going to be given projects and they're going to give you a couple weeks deadline. You have to prioritize that. And that's why this is the practice. School is practice for the real world. And so you have these deadlines and I have to hold you accountable to them. And it's in the syllabus and we talked about it on day one and I remind you of it in the announcements and I'm reminding of it, of you it in this video. So when we have every week and when we have new assignments, you have all week to do the assignments. You have until 11:59 on Sunday evening to turn them in for full credit. Then you have an additional week for half credit. After that, they close. So if you have any questions, please feel free to email me and I'll be happy to answer them. Or you can also refer back to the syllabus. All right, guys, enjoy this week of cover letters. Let me know if you have any questions. If not, I will see you in next week's video. All right, take care.